Hey, this is Manning with Not Waiting to Live. I'm a former Mercedes-Benz car salesman, and in this video, I'm going to compare the cost to own 5 used cars with the best long-term value right now. So if you're in the market for an affordable car that you want to keep long-term, this is the video for you, because I'm going to use real data from real purchase prices and real trade-in values over a long period of time to give you some expectations of what these vehicles actually cost to own, dollar per mile and dollar per year, just based on some realistic scenarios. So the cars I'm going to be covering here: 2011 Toyota Camry, 2012 Toyota Corolla, 2013 Honda Civic, 2012 Honda Accord, and a 2012 Ford Fusion. Now, I didn't select these cars. I'm actually deferring to the experience of a YouTube personality who you might know if you're into these car videos, Scotty Kilmer. He's got a wealth of experience as a mechanic working on all types of cars. I don't have that experience, so this is a list he came up with a little over a year ago, did a video about, and he described the benefits of the cars in general, but now I want to put a dollar amount to these things because that's the nature of what I do. I cover all things vehicle negotiation on this channel, so whether it's buying a used car, new car, a lease, or negotiating some other aspect of that, that's what I cover, and this caught my eye. So what I want to dive into here is, let's talk about really briefly what actually drives the price on these used cars. There's two main levers: the model year and the mileage. For the case of this video, all the years have been set. So we're going off of Scotty's years that he picked, and he picked those specific years based on some mechanical criteria and customer experience feedback based on his experience. So we're sticking with those years. The only lever that's left is mileage. So in order to make some assumptions for comparison's sake, I'm just going to assume some scenarios where you're buying these cars at 75,000 miles and you're driving it for 5 or 11 years. Keep in mind the average person owns their car for about 7 years. And I'm also looking at, okay, what would it be like if you bought one of these cars over 100,000? We'll start at 125,000, and let's look at what would these costs be like if you drove it for 5 or 11 years. And if you're a number in between that, you can kind of use these data points to give you a sense of what those costs are going to be for your specific scenario. And the way that I'm coming up with a dollar per mile, I'm just looking at the purchase price, which is not the list price. I'm looking at what the actual realistic purchase price would be for these cars after you've negotiated down from the list price, basing that on Black Book data. And then I'm looking at the trade-in value of these vehicles in a similar way and saying, hey, what would the trade-in value of this vehicle be 5 years down the road, 11 years down the road with all of those miles? And for this video, we're going to assume 12,000 miles a year. That's just for comparison's sake. Now, there are some things that I am excluding from the cost. So I'm leaving out premium add-ons. So yes, there are Honda Civics and Accords with $20,000 worth of add-ons. We're leaving that out for a couple reasons. One, by the time a car gets 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, the add-ons are pennies on the dollar. Also, just to make comparisons easier, we're just sticking with the models that I've outlined. Also, I'm leaving out sales tax because that's going to vary widely based on your state, your locality, county, leaving that out just to make comparisons easier. I'm also leaving out maintenance, which is something that's going to come up when you're talking about a car over 100,000 miles. And the reason is it just varies too much to compare to make general broad assumptions on by make, model, trim. I mean, I've got a 94 Wrangler, the 4-cylinder, the transmission went out on that at 100,000 miles. I know that the 6-cylinder had a different transmission, and that could last probably 200,000 miles. I mean, that's the same year, make, model, just a different trim with different issues. And I've owned a Honda Civic myself that made it to 200,000 miles, but the engine block cracked and the back doors no longer opened and the windows no longer went down. So it was a 4-door that became a 2-door. There's just too many complicating factors when you're talking about repair costs and making comparisons. So I'm leaving those out. But if you do want to add repair value estimates to what I'm going to show you here, you can just do something like go on your message boards, your forums, your videos, estimate what you think the repair costs are going to be, divide it by the mileage that you're going to drive over. There's your cents per mile. Add that into the numbers that I'm going to show you here. And before I dive into the numbers, I'm just going to tell you that I'm going to show you each of these slides for each of the videos for 5 seconds, because I don't want to spend too much time on the many details of the individual cars. So I'll show you each car's details, and I'm going to skip ahead and talk about the summary. If you want to see these slides, you can check them out on my car blog at notwaitingtolive.com, and you'll be able to look at the line items more closely at your own pace, or you can just pause the video on those slides. So then once we get through each of the vehicle slides, I'll talk about the summary where I compare them side by side. So skipping ahead to the summary here, we'll see that comparing these vehicles on a cost per mile basis, just looking at the depreciation of the vehicle, 1 to 3 cents per mile separates any one of these boxes from another one. And the relative costs kind of align with what Scotty lined out as in order of his top 5. He picked the 2011 Toyota Camry number 1, the 2012 Corolla number 2, the 2013 Honda Civic number 3, which is a little bit more expensive in cost per mile, but you also have to keep in mind that's a 2013 Honda Civic, and you're looking at a 2011 Toyota Camry, and remember one of those levers is model years, so that's kind of keeping that price a little bit higher. Then he's got the 2012 Ford Fusion, followed by the 2012 Honda Accord. And another way to look at these cost per mile numbers is to say, what would that look like cost per year? And it really is, all of these cars are remarkably affordable, a tremendous value when you're thinking about putting on the mileage that you can put on for less than $1,000 a year. You have a lot of great options here. Again, I don't really have much to say about the finer points of any of these selections because I didn't come up with a list. I'll put a link here to Scotty's original video. It's got a ton of views. And if you did find this information useful, please take the time to like the video, comment if you can. This is the way the YouTube algorithm picks up my content, gives my channel more exposure, and gives me the incentive to keep making videos like this. So whatever you want to see covered next, comment below, and I'll see if I can answer that for you. Thanks.